Right, how are we doing, folks? I'm going to do another cigar review. I have humidors and humidors full of stuff and I need to get through them. So today I'm going to be reviewing the CAO Italia Novella. This I've had for quite a while and I've been looking forward to trying this. I've got one of the larger box pressed as well. Let's give you a little bit of background information on this. This is pretty much one of the only premium cigars in the world that contain Italian leaf. Basically the climate and things like that in Italy doesn't really allow for vast quantities of premium tobacco to be produced. So CAO, who like to do things a little bit differently, like I say, opted to use a bit of Italian leaf. So I'll give you a little bit of information on this one. Basically it's a Habano seed that's grown in Italy, and it's filler. I don't know if you can quite see this properly on here, but the core down the centre is some very, very thick, dark leaf, some lighter filler around the outside. The other tobaccos inside there is down there Nicaraguan and Peruvian filters. I don't know anything about the binder or the filler. I'll try and find out that information. I just want to get smoking, basically. So like I say, this is a small little Novello. It's a 4.5 by 56 Novella, should I say, not Novello. So I've actually got a decent cutter on me today. These are the Wolf Solingen double blade, backstop, idiot proof cutters. We get a year out of one of these things. These are amazing cigar cutters. They look spectacular, but you get a great cut every time. Like I said, you get a great cut every time. No effort involved at all. So I've never had any of the Italia range of the CAOs. These aren't available in the UK anymore. They've been phased out, but we're not going to go down that line. I got into a lot of trouble last time. Talks about what happened with CAO in the UK. So let's toast this foot up and we shall give it a whirl. Okay. Got a very, very thick wrapper on this. Slightly oily. This may have gone dry and humid or been rehumidified. I can't remember. It's been in my humidor for a long time. I've been sat on this for 18 months maybe. So I've not done the cold draw again. Just haven't reviewed cigars in a while. The wrapper, like I say, is quite thick. Some lovely little mottled marks on it. Let's get rid of the band. Again, English etiquette dictates I must do this before I get into the cigar. Say it's quite dark. There's some, not quite a Maduro dark. There are some darker marks all over it. It's quite veiny, not really toothy. They're very, very smooth veins. The filler looks pretty well. The base looks pretty good. That's very smooth. So I tend to always go for the stronger Nicaraguan style smokes. I'm hoping that core down the middle is some Nicaraguan Lajero. This is supposed to be a medium bodied. Some lovely woody notes in there. It's got very little on the finish. There's a nice taste on the draw. The finishes, not got the nicest taste on the finish. Just a tobacco, generic sort of fusty tobacco taste on the finish. But the draw stays quite nice. There's some woods there. Some very, very subtle baking spices. Is quite light. Ooh, a bit of stuff on the finish now. Some toasted nuts, a little bit of musk, and a very small amount of spice on the back of the tongue. It's quite enjoyable so far. Oh. Not going to knock the draw. Draw's very, very easy. Although the finish does have a very, very bit large amount of sweetness. So far, I'm not enjoying this. My favourite CAO of this size is the Brasilia Piranha. They are outstanding cigars. I had to ring around a few places to buy up what I could of them when I found out they'd been delisted. I didn't know they'd been delisted, I just placed an order. I was told no, we've run out of those now. So I still have a few. I still have a few in number 1 humidor behind me. But I have had to re-season. Winter is a nightmare. I have my cigars in the living room where I am now. Two of my humidors are in here. Radiators this side of the room, humidors on that side of the room. To keep regulating temperature is a complete and utter ball ache. The heating's on and off when we're in. So I had to take it all out, strip it all out and re-season it, and it's doing pretty well. I think the humidity is running a smidge high at the moment, but I do have quite a few dry sticks in there, so they're softening up. So far it's burning away to a beautiful white ash, which is good. Not exactly tight, there are some gaps in the filler, which I think you can just about see there. I could do with this auto refocusing, to be honest. But anyway, back to the cigar. Small amount of spice, bits of coffee on the draw, but the finish has got kind of a sweet, sticky texture to it. The smoke is very, very smooth. It's not creamy, it's just lovely and smooth and cool. But the finish has got a kind of gacky kind of... I'm not impressed. I'm not impressed with the finish at all. Growing in body. I'm getting a bit of spice on the finish now, which is a good thing. That's what I expect with good Nicaraguan cigars. Spice. It needs spice. Tobacco kind of has that earthy kind of toasted woods, toasted nuts sort of taste, but it needs that spice to complement it. Otherwise, like I say, you get this horrible gacky taste. That's fading now. There's some sweetness and some spice on the finish, and that's beautiful. The draw has flavour, but doesn't have a great deal. But then again, I'm only what, half an inch into this thing now, so another 4 inches to go before we can see what this is really like. So I'm going to keep smoking this, but so far it's got some pleasant tastes, but I'm not overly impressed so far. But we shall see. The cigar has got plenty of time to come to life. Even though it's only a little 4.5 inch stick, there should be enough there to really bring it to life. So I shall be back when I'm halfway, and I'll let you know how she's progressing. Right, so I'm pretty much, if I was doing it in thirds, I'll be at the end of the first third. Quick update on progression, basically. That sweet gackiness has just become beautifully sweet, and it's got some lovely kind of subtly herby tastes on the finish. Lots of coffee on the draw, and subtle hints of cocoa and chocolate. But to say there's some lovely, dirty, almost manure-y, earthy taste to this. It's coming to life a little bit, and I really am enjoying it. The draw is beautiful. The ash is great. It's just as white as you can get. It looks really good, to be honest. I'm starting to quite enjoy this. It's leaving my mouth coated with a kind of bitter coffee taste at the front of the palate. I say I've got that lovely sweet finish at the back, and the two complement each other quite well. The spice has never really progressed. It's just a little tingling of spice running along the palate, but no, so far I'm starting to change my opinion from what I did in the first third. It's usually the way with cigars, you have to let them go. I have also found out it's a Honduran binder, Honduran wrapper. So Nicaraguan, Italian and Peruvian filler, Honduran wrapper, Honduran binder. So I shall be back with another update when I've got a couple more inches in my gut. So I shall see you later. Right, so I'm at the halfway point. really, really, really herby. There's some kind of sweet. I can't put my finger on the herb, but it's very, very familiar. I don't know. Very, very herby, sweet draw. The finish is that coffee kind of beans fading a bit, and I've got a lovely spicy and sweet chocolate finish to it. The smoke's getting a little bit hotter. The ash just fell before I got an inch before it dropped, and it's just fallen off, so I'm hoping to build up my ash layer. I do have a slight very gradual canoeing burn issue at the moment, but like I say, this has got a very, very, very thick solid wrapper to it. Really, really increasing in power. Getting burly throat, burly. But no, the finish, it's still got this. I say it's this chocolate, but there is also like haze and grasses and herbs lingering on the finish. But predominantly, it's that sweet kind of spicy chocolatey, almost drinking chocolate rather than milk chocolate sort of taste. Not quite as tangy as dark chocolate, but somewhere in between. I take back what I said at the start of this. I'm thoroughly enjoying this little stick. Not taking too long to smoke. Again, my concept of time is awful. One of the excuses I use for being late for work most of the time. So I am going to keep going. I may come back with a little bit of a flavour update if it keeps changing. But that finish just keeps on growing and keeps on growing, and there's the pepper and spice in with that sweet chocolate kind of increases in intensity. It's got a lovely long finish to it. Like I say, nowadays with cigars and things like that, I'm more for the finish. I tend to do a lot of these videos and I waffle a lot in between draws, so the finish is a big aspect of flavour for me. If I'm not videoing, I smoke things so fast the finish is very, very irrelevant, but the finish on this is gorgeous. Still prefer my Piranha so far, but I've smoked so many of the Piranhas, it's unbelievable. I got through well over 1.5 boxes of those, and I say I've still got 4 or 5 left in the humidor, but they're special occasion short smokes. So, like I say, I shall be back with a couple of flavour updates. If not, I shall give you the dying tastes. So, see you in a moment. Right, I've hit a bit of a canoeing snag. This is where I was at the last time I came in, and we've burnt very little past that point. It's given it some bitter, overpowering. It's lost its kind of sweet chocolate finish. It's become very, very bitter and sharp, but it's actually quite pleasant. I like it when this happens sometimes. The burn all goes wrong, it loses its original flavours, but it gives it something quite interesting. So, yeah, a little bit of a pain in the arse, but lots and lots of bitter, spicy coffees coming from this cock up. So I'm just gonna tap off, give it a bit of a touch light, see if I can't bring those lovely, sweet, herby herby, chocolatey, subtly coffee notes back into it. Because at the moment it's just becoming quite peppery and quite bitter and coffee-like. But like I say, I'm just going to give it a bit of a tap off, bit of a touch light, see if I can't tease those lovely herby flavours back into this. So let's see what happens. So I'm pretty much going to wrap this up now. I've got a couple of draws left, a few more minutes and I'll be finished with this, so chances I'll still be talking. Got past that side burn issue. The herby flavours and sweetness just flies back in as soon as I got that burning properly again. That coffee bitter taste still there, but the chocolate is a lot more pronounced, a lot darker. But the draw is just full of, it's almost like a lemony thyme sort of herbaceous sort of flavour to it. These are stunning. I'm gutted I only had one of these, but I say I do have kind of a rather large, it's almost like I wouldn't say it's a box press Robusta. I've got no idea what size that is. I picked it up at a trade show a couple of years ago when these first released, and again, still never got around to it. There's so many things that I've had sat in humidors for years and never touched. But yeah, so the progression of flavours, it flutters between being quite bitter and coffee-like. There's overlying sort of like sweet, not quite caramelised, but almost caramelised chocolatey sort of taste is there. But dark chocolates and drinking chocolate on the draw intermingles with the coffee and the bitterness. But overall, these are very interesting little smokes. Again, it wasn't very popular in the UK because they don't say Habanos, they're not made in Cuba. But there's a lot of flavours in here. As I say, it's a mixture of Nicaraguan, Peruvian and Italian filler. Honduran wrapper and binder. I'm not the biggest fan of Honduran cigars. Honduran leaf, depends what it's mixed with. I say I like punchy, strong Nicaraguan tobacco. Lighter smokes, I prefer milder Cuban cigars for subtler smokes, but for big, strong flavours, I love Nicaraguan tobacco. But these are very, 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 we hate the word complex, but complex smokes. The flavours are very dynamic. Not a very wide range of flavours, but they fall in and out into place all the time. And I say it's a very enjoyable smoke. I've done nothing but sit and thoroughly enjoy this smoke. The finish now is getting that rather acidic, kind of tangy, bitter sort of coming towards the end of it. I haven't dribbled too much over this, which is good. I haven't got a goopy mess in my hands, but it is only a small little 4.5-inch cigar. So I'm not sure how long I've been smoking for. I'll stick the time at the bottom of the screen just now. It should be just around about here somewhere. Hopefully if I show some red, I can put the time against the white bit underneath just there. But yeah, it's a very, very pleasant and enjoyable smoke. I still prefer my CAO Brasilia Piranha over this, but I always quite liked the CAO cigars. They had a very small cult following in the UK, but New World cigars struggle a lot to break the market in the UK. I think a lot of people are just too much snobbery around it. In the shop and in general, it's hard to break down the stereotypes of cigars for snobs and pipes for old men. And the way a lot of UK smokers are, they fall into that sort of thing. And a lot of people, because it's not from Cuba, won't even try it and go into it expecting it to be awful. And that's what you get basically. You should treat every cigar as a cigar on its own merits, rather than where it's from, the heritage and the prestige behind it. Because the guys outside, I've said this many times before, the guys outside of Cuba do some wonderful and interesting things. Italian leaf inside this. You don't get much European cigar, much European tobacco in cigars. Even the Dutch don't use European. It's all Indonesian, Cuban, Sumatran and Brazilian leaf they use in their cigars. But Europe does have an old history of growing tobacco. Our climate isn't ideal in many parts of, especially northern Europe, where I'm at the moment. But no, say these are great little smokes. Those of you who still have them available in places like the States, if you've never tried Italia before, just go out and give one a try. I gather they're sort of more at the high end of the budget cigars over in the States, and they work pretty much over here, kind of a mid-range cigar. But I've thoroughly enjoyed this little cigar. Say the flavours are brilliant. It's just losing its complexity and becoming a bit bland and a bit bitter now. But I am, like I say, in the dying draws. The draw has been spectacular. One little issue with the burn, so I'm not going to criticise it too much. Like I say, it has been sat in my humidor for a long time. But yeah, so like I say, great little smokes. I always like the CAO bands as well, so I am going to have to start getting another frame ready, because soon I'll be filling another frame. So thank you very much for watching, folks. I will be back again later. I need to smoke some of the cigars Greg Captain Quintero sent to me. There is a Diplomatico number 4, I think it is, I've got, and it's been a long time since I've smoked a Diplomatico, so I may have to dig into that. Although there is an El Rey del Mundo, Lonsdale he sent me. I need to dig about it. It's been in my humidor for ages. So yeah, I may be back later with a Diplomatico review, or I may just decide to go for something completely different. I say I've got so much stuff in my humidor that I need to smoke. I actually planned on having the Quad Authore this morning, but I fancy something a little bit smaller, because I need to do some housework. So the other half's out on training courses and working all night tonight, so I want to try and get at least down here tidy for when she gets home, so it doesn't look like I've just been a lazy bum all day. One other thing I have done today, many of you know I grow tobacco. Last year I was so late getting it, so I've ordered my seeds this morning. I've got some Connecticut broadleaf coming in, I've got some Habano seed coming in. I've also got, I've got some burley coming in and some Virginia. So I've been prepping the garden all morning, I've been digging things out there, and like I say, 2012 crop, as soon as my seeds arrive in the next few days, I should get them in, get them germinated, and like I say, I've cleared a lot more space in the garden, so hopefully I should have a bump, I should have a decent crop again this year. The weather, how it's going, if it stays quite dry, it could be quite interesting. I only found this out the other day. The drier it is, the more burley plants produce higher ratios of nicotine. This applies to cigar leaf as well. So chances are, if this year goes the way we're expecting it to based on how the winter's been, we could be quite dry. We're suffering droughts, even in the Midlands at the moment. River levels are quite low. So if we do have a dry year, I may have some ridiculously strong tobacco grown this year. But anyway, I'm waffling about stuff that's got no relevance to this cigar at all, as always. So, I shall see you all very, very soon, folks. So, take care and keep smoking. Goodbye.